We keep saying we're ready, we keep appropriating the money, and they're flat out not ready to deal with it. Congress responded to this by appropriating $1.6 billion to be administered by the state of Louisiana on top of billions available through other programs. The committee sponsored the first congressional delegation to the affected areas in the weeks after the floods and held a hearing on September 9th of 2016. The committee then returned to the area in February. Additionally, we have reviewed more than 80,000 pages of documents from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, and through our field work and document review, we discovered significant failures at FEMA. Among the most egregious examples is FEMA's failure to deploy in a timely manner. These MHUs, these mobile housing units, are a housing option of last resort for flood victims. At the time of the September hearing, FEMA had placed only one person in an MHU despite having 70 MHUs locally and sitting on a lot. I want to show you this graph here. Now remember, this disaster happened in August. Okay? This is the deployment of the mobile housing units. 22 are out there in September, October 593, but you really don't ramp up until February. This thing happened in August. You can take that slide down. These are people who are in desperate need of housing and simply had to wait too long. In fact, we still have people that are waiting. There's still people in line. It's April, and they're still waiting. Unfortunately, the problems with the mobile housing units are not limited to the abysmal placement or pace of deployment. Let me show you what this, when I put up this slide here if I could. This is from Clayton Homes. Okay, this is just, we went online, staff did good work, kind of hard to see there, but you can go online right now in Louisiana, and that top one, it's called the Elation. It says it's in stock. They can buy between $26,000 and $45,000 right now. You could just push the button and order it. And when we talked to the representatives from Clayton Homes this morning in Gonzales, Louisiana, near Baton Rouge, they quoted $3,600 to $10,000 for delivery and installation, and they can start today. The federal government pays $150,000 for these units. And you can go online and buy the nicest one they have for $45,000, and for another $10,000 you can get it there. $100,000 premium we're paying, and they can't get them to the people that are affected for months and months and months on end? Go online, for goodness sake, and you could do a better job and save the taxpayers literally millions of dollars. It's so frustrating to see these people suffer and hear their horror stories. And by the way, that what FEMA, when they purchased these things at $150,000 a pop, we found a pattern of serious maintenance issues with them. Electrical issues, clogs, leaks, plumbing problems, doors that would not shut or lock, fires and malfunctioning fire suppression systems, HVAC systems that were too hot, too cold, didn't work at all, unusable furnishings. On average, each unit had more than 1.3 problems with it. Most concerning is the HVAC and thermostat issue. In October 2016, a faulty MHU overheated and killed an 84-year-old man. In fact, let's put up the slide from the Advocate, who had this story that ran. He was baked to death in a FEMA trailer. And we've spent considerable time looking at the suffering that this man went to and ultimately lost his life. FEMA falsely told our committee staff, who was there on the ground, at an in-person briefing there had been no deaths due to faulty MHUs or any efforts to replace a pattern of defective parts. That was absolutely not true. Shortly after the man's gruesome death, FEMA ordered its contractor, Chicago Bridge and Iron Company, to replace approximately 1,500 thermostats. Sadly, in the midst of recovery efforts, FEMA's priorities were clearly misplaced. In an October 31st, 2016 email uncovered by the committee, a FEMA official writes, quote, "We have no way to predict what this news will do to our operation and how the congressional office will use this prior to election," end quote. This is not the first time FEMA has placed its own image above aiding citizens in need. 10 years ago, the committee held a hearing on formaldehyde levels in trailers deployed by FEMA in Hurricane Katrina. Then Ranking Member Tom Davis stated, quote, FEMA's concerns were legal liability and public relations, not health and human services, end quote. It doesn't seem as if anything has changed since Hurricane Katrina. FEMA is repeating many of the same mistakes they should have learned from Katrina. Are you able to accept service of a subpoena? You personally?
I would assume so, yes.
You're not sure? I mean, your boss, right? The acting director is testifying. Actually, it's that way, next door. I think what I'm going to do, if you're not sure, I'm going to have somebody else chair this hearing. I'm also a member of the Judiciary Committee, and I'm going to go serve him this subpoena.
From Utah is recognized for his 5 minutes.
I assure the chairman I will be punctual. Thank the chairman. To both the ATF and DEA, I can't thank the men and women enough who are on the front lines doing the hard, difficult work with their lives in jeopardy on a regular basis. And I hope you both carry that back, and they know how much people root for them, care for them, and are concerned about them. We also in Congress have to be concerned about the expenditures and making sure that we're giving proper oversight. Mr. Rosenberg, I want to talk about the confidential informant policy. It's been a source of a scathing review by the Inspector General's office, how that's being executed. There was a supplement to that as well. You have a confidential informant policy in place, correct?
Which now meets the Attorney General's guidelines, yes, sir.
And we have been trying in the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, as well as Senator Grassley in the Senate Judiciary Committee, to get a copy of this, this policy. Why won't you give it to us?
Well, 2 things, sir. One is I believe we've made it available to you and to Senator Grassley's staff for in-camera review, if I'm not mistaken. In terms of just providing it, that goes back to Department of Justice policy, by which I am constrained.
You testified on June 22nd of 2016. You said to Senator Grassley in a Senate hearing regarding this policy, quote, "It has been finalized. It's been approved by the department. I'm more than happy to provide a copy to this committee and to your staff, sir," end quote. Yet you didn't do that. Who is prohibiting you from giving that copy to Congress? Well, I see a huge difference between an in-camera review and actually providing it to the Congress.
And I respectfully don't see a huge difference. I understand your point. We've made it available for in-camera review. And
that's true, by the way. That's my understanding of it as well. But I just don't understand what you believe Congress has the right to have and not have the right to have. You freely give it to the Inspector General, but you won't give it to the United States Congress.
Well, and while I don't see a big difference, I understand your point. Nevertheless, I am constrained by the Department of Justice.
Who at the Department of Justice is telling you this?
The name of the person? I don't know, sir.
You give me that name?
I'll ask the Department of Justice if I can give you that name. I will give you...
No. Come on. That's silly season here.
No, I don't think it's silly.
I want to know specifically because there's hundreds of thousands of people involved here. I need a name. Can you give that to me by the end of the week?
I will ask.
No.
I can provide
I'm asking you to give me the name of the person who is denying access to this. Here's what I'm forced to do. We have a hearing next door in the Oversight Committee as well with your deputy, both of your deputies.
Yes.
We are issuing a subpoena.
Okay.
And so I see no choice. We've been trying to do this. Senator Grassley's been trying to do this. I've been trying to do this. Department of Justice doesn't get to hide things from the United States Congress. And there is a huge difference between an in-camera review, no notes, people looking over your shoulder. You can't, members of Congress have a very difficult time accessing that information. And if we're going to provide proper access, it seems like we should be able to review this, especially in light of hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of a year going out the door. The Inspector General giving you all a quote-unquote gentleman's C, as he called it, to grade how this is done. We've had massive problems with people misusing money and assets, and so I'm left with no choice. I've issued you a subpoena.
Okay.
We expect you to comply with that subpoena. I wish I didn't have to do that.
No, I understand.
But I want to have a further discussion, and I need names as to who's holding us back at the Department of Justice.
I can promise you two things. I will look at the subpoena carefully, and I will have a further discussion with you.
Fair enough. Mr. Chairman, I have plenty of time on the clock, but I'm happy to yield back.